to life-saving success, CPR. C is for clarity, knowing what you want out of life. P is for passion, loving whatever it is that you're doing. R is the reason, having a purpose that drives your actions. I stand before you as the owner of CPR Life Wrap, and these are the same dynamics that I use to help build my company and believe can help each and every one of you accomplish anything with life-saving success. I would like to ask all of you to think back of a traumatic event or an emergency where you were faced with having to make a pressing decision. Do you remember the emotions that you felt? I can tell you that during a traumatic event in my life, the emotion that I felt was fear. It was the summer of 2002. My family and I were driving on a beautiful day. I happened to look back to check on my children and noticed that my 2-year-old son, who was sitting in between my daughters, was in distress. He was trying to cry, but nothing was coming out. It was at that moment that I knew that my baby was choking. I screamed for my husband to pull over, and how we managed to make it to the side of the road without wrecking was a miracle in itself. We immediately jump out of the car. My husband grabs my son and gives him to me. At the time, I was working in the medical field and was CPR certified. Now, I should have known what to do, right? No. I looked into my baby's eyes and was rendered helpless. I froze. I could not remember what I was trying to do. My husband quickly took our son from me, saving his life. After this traumatic incident happened to my family, I thought to myself, emergencies like these is probably happening to families every day. But for a long time after, I felt I had let my baby down and thought of what would have happened if my husband would not have been there. As parents, we want to protect our children from all harm. So after my personal incident, I had a chance to not only help my family, but families everywhere. From that event, I went on to invent a product called the CPR Life Wrap. Now, for those of you that don't know what my product is, it is a disposable CPR template that empowers any bystander to help during a cardiac emergency. The CPR Life Wrap has everything a responder would need to perform CPR. You see, my purpose was driving my actions. A few years later, I was in a book club and made the mistake of telling the other ladies about some of the inventions that were in my head. One of those ladies happened to be a facilitator for a company called Launch of Chattanooga and invited me to her class. Now, while there, she taught us about a show called Shark Tank and how I think she went to audition. I remember looking up the show online and seeing that they were going to be in Knoxville in a few weeks. So I downloaded the massive paperwork, and with only a product sketch on paper, hope in my heart, and my children, drove to Knoxville. We made it around 3 a.m. that morning and was maybe 20th in line that soon wrapped around the block. I stood in that line for 7 hours in 30-degree weather with no food and no water. As producers came out to put that wristband on my wrist, I knew I was where I was supposed to be at that moment. I was nervous, but I auditioned anyway. I didn't make it to the next phase, but I was able to overcome many fears that I had, and more importantly, more people knew about my product. Clarity is defined as the quality of being clear. In life, as well as in business, I needed to have a clear path that could lead me to my successes. Now, some of my clarity came from my family, friends, and mentors that I met along the way. I knew that I couldn't place my destiny in the hands of blind luck, So I surrounded myself with people that were doers and thinkers. Now, after I attained the knowledge that I needed from SCORE, Launch, and places like CoLab, I was ready to show the world what I had invented. Now, I have always had a passion for inventing things. Even as a young girl, I wanted to make things better for others. As I got older, I took on jobs that required me taking care of others. So it was no surprise that I chose my career as a physical therapist assistant. It was then that I started building the foundation that would prepare me for my biggest role yet, an entrepreneur. My passion for helping others was not something to be acquired, but something that I was born with. Just like anything in my life, my foundation had to grow. I had to grow as a person. Everything that we do prepares us for what is to come. Our wins, our failures, these things help shape the person that we strive to become. Success is not based on the victories that we achieve, but the barriers that we overcame to get there. All of this brings me to the English proverb, necessity is the mother of invention. Because it was at my lowest, my most vulnerable, that I found my purpose. I knew that I had to get up from my despair to make a difference. I needed a reason to push these thoughts that were in my head to make them into realities. The incident that happened with my son was and still is my reason. Nothing happens by mistake, and what happened to my son would not go on in vain because I now know what impact my invention can have globally. Now, I find myself laughing at this one because not only am I a serial inventor, but I am a long-time procrastinator. And we know that those two things don't mix. Although, I am in very good company because Leonardo da Vinci was a famous procrastinator. Did you know it took him 16 years to finish the Mona Lisa? Now, with the CPR Life Wrap, I knew that I could not take that long, but during my journey, I did find something within me that was much more prominent than my procrastination, my determination. Recently, I was hospitalized twice with a blockage to my coronary artery. Being so determined to change the world and make life better for others, I neglected my own. Now, this personal barrier that I am going through has opened my eyes even more to how precious life is and why we should take advantage of the talents that we all have within us. My life experiences have defined my purpose, but without clarity, passion, and reason, I do not believe I would have found life-saving success. My clarity came from my support system. My passion has always been rooted in my being. And my reason was and always will be my family and how ideas can impact the world and save lives. Thank you.